episode of the Youngstown Penguin Football Podcast. As always, from Tampa, Florida, I'm your host, Sal Guerrero. With me, as always, is former defensive lineman, the Sledge, Kyle Searle, and former director of football options, Dan Kopp. Unfortunately, our Hall of Fame quarterback, Kurt Hess, could not be with us tonight. I think he's probably at the Missouri State game, as I believe they're on ESPN2, his dream, playing on Wednesday nights. So he's probably living it through Missouri State. That aside, we are on Instagram, Whitetown Penguin Podcast, and we are live on YouTube in the chat. Get on the chat. Give us any questions or comments you may have and predictions. Always love to see that as well. Anyway, we are going to recap what was a terrific game, even though the Penguins fell short to South Dakota State last weekend. Getting you ready for North Dakota State, going over the rankings, just a little playoff talk, just because it's never too early, and a little bit more. But that all said, again, guys, crazy game. We were on pins and needles. Unfortunately, we fell short 35-30 to the number 2 team, the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. Before we dive into detail, Cyril, Dan, just quick thoughts of the game overall. What do y'all think?
Well, I mean, being there in person, it was really just nice to see that Youngstown supported the team. They understood what was happening. Obviously, a number 2 ranked opponent coming in, and pretty good crowd that I've seen at Stanbaugh Stadium in a long time. And our guys responded to it. I don't think that they let the moment get too big for them. I think that they were prepared, because it's like I like to walk around in the stadium, in the equipment room, on the field, and guys were focused. I think that it was nice to see. Much different than last year or even 2 years ago, when I think South Dakota State was ranked number 1 2 years ago, and they came in and much different half. It was 30-0 or whatever at halftime, or 28-0, and so just really proud of the way the guys responded and rose to the occasion.
What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of quick thoughts. Kurt sent me I reached out to him about some thoughts. So I want to share a couple of his thoughts first. And, I think we all can agree that our quarterback, Bo Brungard, was the best player on the field again. But Kurt thought it was a great start. We made some adjustments. They made some adjustments. He also mentioned that obviously our guys kept fighting. Our offensive line played well. He kind of, his other comments were, we just need to keep building on those big plays. Had a little bit of a cold spell there, but still scored 30 points on the second best team in the country. Gave ourselves a chance to win. I think he continues to feel that Bo looks comfortable. I think we can all agree with that. Good point. Good to have Ethan Wright back out on the field. We saw him recovering from an Achilles injury. He looked good. And, obviously Max is maybe our go-to guy. And some of our other receivers were, catching the ball, Solomon and those guys. But I think, Kurt wants to see maybe the next receiver evolve and get some more big plays down the field. But, I mean, think about Bo. Bo had 22 carries for 130 yards and a touchdown, 29 of 44 for 275 yards through the air with 3 touchdowns. I mean, I don't know. When's the last time a quarterback had a game like that against South Dakota State? So, I was looking just through the stats. He, 8 different guys caught a ball from Bo, so he's spreading the wealth. Those sets we were in with 3 backs, it's going to probably continue to evolve what we can do out of that. And then, we left some points there in the first half, missed a field goal, and that, strip, their defensive end made a great play there before the half. We convert those, we might win that game. And I think Coach Phillips said that on his presser after the game, that he felt like we left some plays out there. And, I got a question maybe for you guys. Do you think we're closing that gap? I looked the prior 17 meetings against South Dakota State, average score, just doing the averages, was 33-16. We were scoring 16 points a game against them, and we scored 30 points. I think I have on my board the old 30-20 rule. If we get one stop, we win the game. So what do you guys think about that? Closing that gap on a team that it's kind of the standard.
A couple things, and I'll get to answering your question. I think Kurt said about Bo Brungard. He is popping up on a lot of Walter Payton watch lists, which I've never heard a Penguin mentioned in that list before. For those of you listening at home, that is the equivalent of the Heisman Trophy winner for the FCS level, and Bo Brungard's name is being tossed around. It's been a long time, if ever, since a Penguin's been in that conversation. But to answer your question, Cheryl kind of alluded to it when he was talking about 2 years ago at the Ice Castle, where things snowballed pretty drastically after that touchdown we had was Wimber was blown dead, and then it was under review, and then they took off. And then last year, you would have thought we're playing the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, we went there and got blown out of the water. It was like watching a high school team versus an NFL team. So, I mean, 100%. I don't know if it's the Jackrabbits getting worse, us getting better, a little bit of both. But yeah, we belonged on the field with them.
I think that it's a multiple reasons, right? Like, not you could return every starter from the previous season, and that team is going to be a different team than the previous year, right? Just for whatever reason, it's just that way. I think Bo has taken a step forward. Like, it's just night and day that Bo looks so comfortable in the pocket. He looks very comfortable with what he's tasked to do in terms of running the ball and RPOs and things like that. I will say, there was a couple options where he looked to throw the ball too long, right? He should have just took off and owned it and owned that he was a runner. But he looks much more comfortable back there. I think that maybe South Dakota State is regressing a little bit. They're trying to figure out who they are. They're trying to figure out how to establish their identity of prior to the previous years, right? Like, new coaching staff. They were Final Four last year and national champs the year before. So it's like they're trying to figure out, how do we establish getting back there while figuring out who we are, right? But I think the Penguins are taking a step closer, and I really believe that, similar to 2 years ago, right? 2 years ago, I think we have a pretty tough schedule. But I was high on the Penguins 2 years ago when Mitch Davison was quarterback. I had us going 8-2, 8-3, something like that. 9-2, I think I had us. But anyways, I really feel like this team has the roster to do that. The depth on offense, the experience on offense. Defensively, I think we took a step forward. I think that I didn't look into the nitty gritty stats. And if you want us to dive into this later, we can. But I think there's a lot that we can take away from this game. A lot of good. A lot of good in a loss, which is not always the case. Doesn't mean we're there or we made it. Even if we won this game, I wouldn't say we're there and we've made it.
Right. Well, that was the quick thoughts of the game. Everyone.
Well,
let's recap. Let's recap how the game
Let's just
actually
recap
went.
the game.
Yes. All right. So going into the first quarter, Penguins looked very good. Defense did their job, stopped them in 5 plays, got the ball back. Penguins went down the field very quickly. 3 plays, 47 yards, ended with a Max Tomczak catch from Bo for 23 yards. Penguins are up. Then in the second quarter, Penguins go again. 15 plays, 80 yards, 7 minutes. This is the type of team you want to do a drive like that on. 14-0, Penguins are up. Then South Dakota later answers going 90 yards in 9 plays. They score a touchdown, 14-7, as the Penguins still lead. And right before halftime, the Penguins kick a 29-yard field goal, just about 2 minutes left in the half. 17-7. Now, things are looking great for the Penguins. Where are we talking upset alert? Everyone's excited, talking national championship. South Dakota State comes out, touchdown. They get the ball back, another touchdown. They get the ball back, another touchdown. And before you know it, 3 touchdowns in a row from the Jackrabbits. They lead 28-17. We go into the fourth quarter where Penguins really need to do something, and we do. 3 plays, 60 yards, another Max Tomzak 29-yard catch from Bo Brungard, 24-28, and the gap is closing. So just 10 minutes left in the game. Things are looking good. And before you know it, the South Dakota State Jackrabbits answer in 3-play drive. Some huge plays, went 40 yards, ended with a 24-yard run, making it 35-24 with just 3 minutes left. Penguins doing all they can, drive down the field in 10 plays, 70 yards to make it 35-30. Go for 2. Does not work. Do an onside kick. Does not work. And before you know it, that is the game, even though it was a great effort by the boys. 35-30, the number 2 Jackrabbits beat. I can't remember the rankings back then. What were we? 19, 18, Youngstown State Penguins fall. So that's how the game went. Now we recapped it. Cyril, on the defense, what do you think about the defense, how they played?
You know, for the most part, I think that I would say for about 3 out of 4 quarters they played really well. I think that the third quarter, I think we came out flat. You know that they're gonna South Dakota State's going to make adjustments and figure it out. I think that there was some things that once South Dakota State figured out what was working, they just ran it. They just ran it into the ground. I was calling the play from the top of the stands. Like it's just at a certain point, it became simple play recognition, which you think that, you know, is a little frustrating because I know our coaches probably see it in the box, and you would like our players to see it on the field. And so I think that's just one thing, you know, as you go on, you know, as you get experience on the field, play recognition it plays into playing good defense and understanding. That's where film comes in, film study. And I'm not saying our guys don't do that. I'm just saying once South Dakota State figured out what play was working, where they would just pull the 2 guards and sprint to the sideline and the tailback would follow. It was just a simple 3, 4, 6 yards a pop, and there was literally nothing we could have put a linebacker over there, and wouldn't have mattered. So that's my only beef with the defense. And then you know, Wimpy was in a lot of one-on-one coverage, and you know, kept getting beat deep. You would like to see some help over top of Wimpy, you know, deep safety or something, because once they, you know, it felt like Pitt our freshman year where they would just check. I'm not going to name the corner. They would just check to the corner and throw a pass, you know, over his head, and you know, next thing you know, it's 38-0 Pitt. But you know, like to see when we need it to get help over top of a certain receiver that is seemingly hurting us.
Yeah, Dan.
Yeah, I kind of gave. I guess we got excited early in the show. I kind of gave the stats and the things, you know, from the game, but I want to go back to, you know, what we're seeing out of our quarterback, number 12, Bo Brungard. That he put up 405 yards of total offense against South Dakota State. And correct me if I'm wrong. Do you think we probably still left? Obviously, we left more points out there, and probably another player or two. I mean, he's. I mean, how exciting is he to watch? And the scheme, I think, offensively, we're doing different things, and we still, you know, Kurt added one more text. He said he felt like there's still another gear our offense has, and I got to agree with that. I mean, we scored 30 points against South Dakota State, and we could have scored 42. I mean, you know, we should have scored probably 37, right? Or so, you know, that's some great things to take away from a game against a team that, I mean, you know, we all know what South Dakota State's done and what they're capable of. And boy, in some ways, it kind of feels like we not that we lost the game, but Kyle brought up some points. We couldn't make one stop, not a knock against our defense, just couldn't make that stop. And yet our offense, if we just could have converted down there in those 2 possessions rather than, have to try and kick a field goal, score a touchdown, we win the game. So I don't think we've said that about a YSU team against South Dakota State for some time. So I would hope you guys would agree. I think we all feel really good about our offense right now, and it can be better, and I think it will get better. So, I'm sure they're adding things each week, and our offensive line played well. We gave a couple of sacks, but again, you're playing a team that, as Kyle mentioned, 2 years ago was national champs. A year ago, lost in the title game. I mean, this is a team that just reloads. So, Sal, I'll go back to your point you made before the Michigan or after the Michigan State game. Our coaching staff had this team prepared to play.
Right.
We weren't out, at times they physically, kind of, handled us a little bit up front, but, we handled them a little bit up front too. So, it's a lot of good things to take from this game. And I think Kyle just said tough to do that when you lose, but we lost to the number 2 team in the country by a possession. So
2 things I want to mention that I noticed about South Dakota State. One is, we're talking about Bo Brungard. Y'all said it. Taking a step forward from last year, this year, you can see a significant improvement. How about South Dakota State quarterback play? And their quarterback who left to Iowa, I see a significant downgrade at quarterback. I felt like on many times they had receivers wide open that he just threw it at their feet. And it was like, man, if they had that gunslinger they had last year, this game could have potentially got ugly. We're lucky that they did not have that same type of quarterback play. Now, he's a big boy. There's no doubt in their running football team, but if they're ever in a position that they're down in the 4th quarter, I don't see the South Dakota State Jackrabbits running a 2-minute drill with that guy in their center. And then the second thing, they're definitely hats off to their coaching staff. They are a second half team. They will plan. Just a couple notes I noticed is they were the Drake game was 21-10 at halftime. They ended up peeling away winning that game. Mercyhurst the week before, we were all talking, it was 17-0. South Dakota State was being Mercyhurst 17-0 at halftime, peeled off the win 51-7. Same with us. They were losing at halftime. They come out in the 3rd quarter and score 3 straight touchdowns and 3 straight possessions. Like they're a second half team. They know how to definitely come out of the second half and game plan it. So hats off to South Dakota State for sure. They definitely brought their A game in the second half. But I'm hoping that's a team we're potentially going to be seeing again in December. Real quick before we move on to last week, because I definitely want to say this, and guys, don't give me just a quick summary. We're not going to dive into this too much. Playoffs, and I'm only talking playoffs because we'll talk about it more. We have North Dakota, who North Dakota is not who we thought they were. They're potentially the 3rd best team in the conference. We're going to North Dakota to play next week. We lost to South Dakota State. Not writing off North Dakota State. We could win in Fargo. Not saying we can't. But how do you feel about the Penguins making the playoffs? Do we have to win out minus Fargo, or do you feel there's another loss in our pocket we could give up, or is it just is it too soon to tell? How do you feel for the Penguins?
Well, I think that it's going to come down to how you lose. I think, the committees say style points don't matter. I think that they do. Say we lose by 3 at Fargo, and maybe we drop. We have 3 tough. We probably have the 3 toughest road games in the conference at North Dakota, Illinois State, and North Dakota State. So I think that if we can come out 2-1 through there, huge, and we're in the playoffs. 1-2, I think we're a bubble team.
I would agree with that. I mean, if we only lose one more conference game, we all know we're going to be one of the. We might get a bye. We might be That
Yes.
So do I think we have another loss out there? I do, and I agree with Kyle that it's got to be on the road. We can't lose any more games at home. That we just you can't do that. We're in a position now where we got to definitely win out at home. And then if we're close in a game on the road, whoever that one might be of those 3 games, yeah. Now we go lay an egg and get rolled up. Maybe they look at that and go, well, so no, I think there is a lot out there for this team. If we agree with the fact that we still have another gear in offense, as Kurt put it, and as Kyle said, now we got to make adjustments defensively, because I would think someone's going to watch our film and go, well, look what they did in the third quarter. They came out and started running zone and power pulling, running Dave, all those things that they do, and we couldn't stop them. So, but I do like our chances.
Yeah, and as you listeners back home know, we have 2 losses now: Michigan State, South Dakota State. Losing at number 1 in the country, North Dakota State. I'm not saying it's assumed, but if it is a loss, that is 3 losses. That means we have to win out. And to your point, Dan, if we win out, that could make us a number 3 seed with a bye. If we lose one more, being a 4th loss, that'll put us on the bubble. We've gotten in with 4 losses, and we've sat at home more times than we've gotten in with 4 losses. So, very key games coming up, just for the listeners at home to know. It's only 1 conference game in, but every game is a playoff game. It really feels like it really does. And if you lose one, the only cure to it is a win at Fargo. So anyway, let's y'all ready to move on? Let's do it. Recapping now, going back 2 weeks as we took the bye week off along with the Penguins. 2 weeks ago was the very first conference game, September 27th, South Dakota at North Dakota State. North Dakota State won and covered 51-13. Wow. Mercyhurst was at South Dakota State before they came to us that same weekend, as I alluded to. It was a tight game the first half. Then South Dakota State won 51-7. But get this, that is not enough to cover. The spread was 45.5, and that is only 44 points. So Mercyhurst on the points. They held on just enough. Then last week on October 4th, as we were kind of discussing, Murray State at South Dakota. South Dakota wins 49-24. That is not enough to cover, but South Dakota does win. North Dakota is at the Unidome of Northern Iowa. North Dakota wins 35-7 in a blowout fashion. That's good enough for a winning cover. South Dakota State at Youngstown State, as we spoke to in depth. The Jackrabbits beat the Penguins 35-30. That is not enough to cover, as the Penguins do win on the points. North Dakota State at Illinois State was a good game that was actually very tight and interesting, but North Dakota State did end up peeling away and winning 33-16, but that is not enough to cover either, as Illinois State covers the points. Indiana State at Southern Illinois. Southern Illinois wins and covers 55-24. Dan, you and I actually tied, and as we talked about before the show, neither of us won the tiebreaker, which is the FBS game, as I had Florida State winning and covering against Virginia. As we all know, Virginia won the money line in crazy fashion. And then, Dan, you had Arizona State winning and covering over TCU, which they won by 3, and the spread was 3.5. So you were very close. Now, get into the rankings. Where are the rankings after last week? A couple things.
Tito.
Hey, Tito. A couple things is there is a coaches poll and there's an AP poll. So just going through the coaches poll, and then I will just quickly mention some notes on the AP poll. Coaches poll. North Dakota State still number 1. South Dakota State still number 2. After Illinois State lost to number 1, they dropped down to number 10. North Dakota is at 12 as they move up. Now, North Dakota, who we play this weekend, number 12. Your Youngstown State Penguins drop a couple spots to number 20. And that will basically round out the conference standings. In the AP, the Penguins dropped out completely. So we're not even ranked, but receiving a ton of votes in the AP. And then in the AP, North Dakota is number 13. So they're basically the same. We dropped out. Not great, but what are y'all's take on that top 25 and the movement on that on the coaches poll,
The
if
coaches
any?
poll is the one we dropped out of, that, or that's where we're sitting 20.
That's where we're sitting 20.
I think that's fair. I still think that UC Davis sitting number 6 is a little BS, because they were totally going to lose that game to Mercer, who's sitting at 19, and I'm going to stay that until UC Davis falls in the polls, because that is garbage. I don't care about where we're sitting right now until it's, we get about 3-4 more games into conference, and maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it gives our guys something to work for. The fact that we're not ranked in the AP is pretty
Crazy.
BS, but
Yeah.
whatever. Like, who cares? So
Dan.
Yeah, I mean, you guys know how I feel about rankings, or like I feel about predictions, but I agree. I mean, the coaches poll says we're a top 20 football team, and there's no doubt we're a top 20 team. I mean, we lost to Michigan State, a Big Ten team at their place, played them well, and we just lost to the number 2 team in the country that has won a couple national championships. So that's what those polls are. We got to go prove it and go play and go win out and at University of North Dakota, and then that'll solve all that real quick. So
One thing I'm surprised y'all didn't catch me. Southern Illinois is number 9 in our conference. So North Dakota State, South Dakota State, then Southern Illinois Salukis are 9, Illinois State 10, North Dakota 12. So I did almost forgot about those Salukis. Anyway, you guys ready for North Dakota? North Dakota, let's do it. Your number 20 Youngstown State Penguins are at number 12 North Dakota, the Fighting Hawks, no longer the Fighting Sioux for political reasons. Saturday, October 11th at 4 p.m. on ESPN Plus. Some things about North Dakota and how they've been so far. First, as some of you may have or may not have watched, they opened up at Kansas State, which was Kansas State's second game after they lost in Ireland. It was a crazy game, and North Dakota was up at the very end, and then it was 35-35. Kansas State ended up winning the last minute, under a minute, 38-35. So they could have had a win at number 17, Kansas State. They've gone on and blew out Portland State 50-20. They lost a very close game at number 4, Montana, 24-23, just to note. Blew out Valparaiso, and as we talked about, they blew out UNI. This is a very good North Dakota team, in case y'all are not paying attention to this team at all. We have played them 3 times, which is kind of shocking to me. We've only played them 3 times. I didn't realize how recent they were to the conference, but we've only beat them once in those 3. That one being the classic overtime game just last season, where they were in the ice castle, decided to go for 2. I thought they were throwing to an eligible tackle, which Coach Phillips clarified to Dan and I down in Florida. That guy was not eligible. So not sure what the heck that running back pitch pass. I don't know what the heck they were doing, but we won the game. Other than that, we played them 2 previous years in 2022 and 2021, where they beat us in pretty close games. They beat us 24-21. 35-30, and then we beat them in overtime 41-40. So it's always been a fantastic game ever since we played them. These boys been playing football for 131 years. Since 1894, North Dakota's been playing football. They had a football team in 1894. They were Division II officially in 1973 till 07. Then they moved up to FCS. They were actually in the Big Sky up until 2017. I'm not sure what happened there, but they were independent for a couple years before joining yours truly, the Missouri Valley Football Conference in 2020 during the COVID year. So that was their first time joining. They have a first-time head coach, Eric Schmidt. Eric Smith is a native North Dakota. He is an alum, played linebacker in North Dakota. He's been kind of around. So he was at Southern Illinois, actually, Kyle, when we were at Southern Illinois, or I'm sorry, when we were in college playing Southern Illinois. He was their linebacker coach, their defensive line coach. He was around. He was assistant at North Dakota. He went on to Fresno State, Washington, some big name schools, and now he is back at the helm for the first time at North Dakota. His first time as a head coach. So interesting. They've got about 15,000 kids enrolled there, and my favorite news segment is notable alumni. Here's a crazy one I had no idea. Dan, you probably knew this. Kyle, if you're anything like me, you had no idea either. Basketball coach Phil Jackson, with 11 NBA championships, is an alum of North Dakota. For those of you who do not follow basketball, he was the Chicago Bulls coach with a young man named Michael Jordan, and also the LA Lakers head coach with a young man named Kobe Bryant. So he's been around the block. Lastly, I never heard of her, but very interesting. The president and longtime CEO of Buffalo Wild Wings, Sally Smith, is a North Dakota native. Therefore, if you plan on watching this game at your local Buffalo Wild Wings, I strongly suggest not to pick that location for this game. We don't need any bad juice, okay? But that is my fun facts about North Dakota. Let's get into actual details of football. Cyril, what do you think about this North Dakota team?
I love Sal's fun facts about teams this year. I do. I love it. I think that this week it presents a challenge for both teams, and I'll tell you why. I think their quarterback Jerry Kaminsky is very similar to Bo Brungard. And so one thing that North Dakota has when they are practicing against a mobile quarterback is they have a mobile quarterback, similar to our defense. So really, it's not going to be, necessarily a big advantage of like, oh my God, we don't ever see this in practice. It's hard to replicate. So North Dakota State's offense just replicates what we do on offense for their defense just naturally, and vice versa. So our defense sees Bo Brungard every day in practice, and so we're probably getting a lot of good on good. So a lot of starters on starters in practice, which that's how I would primarily get ready for this game. UND, they're putting up 40 points a game. And I think that you look at that Kansas State game and you say, yeah, they lost 38-35, but Kansas State was on upset alert a majority of that game, meaning they were down. I remember them being down for a good chunk of that second half, and losing at 1 point at Montana. There's no such thing as a quality loss, but man, that's about as good of a team at this level as you can play on the road as the Dakotas, and it's respectable. Who'd Montana just play? Montana. Sorry, I had this ready to go. Montana played someone that was.
It was Idaho State, and it was a good game.
Yeah, and Idaho State, not a bad program. They got Montana State coming up. Hey, by the way, did you see that? Totally off topic, and I'm destroying and derailing the show, but Montana's got some sick throwbacks that they're wearing this week. They're ditching the maroon and silver. They're going like this yellow and.
How'd you find that?
It's just Instagram. I don't know. Just collegefootballswag.com or something. I don't know. So I think that, this to get back on topic, I think that each team is presented with an interesting task of defending pretty much the very offense that they see every day in practice.
We need just, I don't want to derail either. We need to tell Ron Strollo to do what every Missouri Valley Football Conference team does and schedule one of those Montana games, because it seems like everyone in our conference goes to Montana. But that would be a game you and I are traveling to, Cyril.
Dude, listen. I said Indiana State traveled to Montana. Was it 2 weeks ago? I said I'm so jealous that Indiana State gets to go there. That is hands down, guys. Just Google
Jealous
Montana.
of Indiana State. Woo!
Listen, just Google Montana Grizzly football stadium. It is just Google it. It's just the prettiest setting in all of college football.
Not as beautiful as the North Dakota Arena Dome will look like later this next Saturday, though. Dan, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, we kind of know you almost know what you're going to get out of these Dakota schools, in the sense of they're going to have guys that are from that area that play real hard. Another program that's led by one of their alumni guys, like the school we just played. I looking through their stats this year, they're really balanced. Run the ball for 197, throw the ball for 229. Time of possession, they're winning a little over 30 minutes a game. They're holding teams to 34% on third down conversions. So they're winning the money down, as we remember from practice back in the day. Cal mentioned their quarterback. A lot like our guy. He's a Wisconsin guy, only a sophomore. In two big games. Against Montana, he had 343 total yards. Against Northern Iowa, he had 281 total yards. 62% completion rate with 14 touchdown passes. So this guy's a good quarterback, They've got five receivers with at least 2 touchdowns. So obviously this guy doesn't just lock in on one guy. Their leading receiver seems to be this BJ Fleming. I think he's a Texas guy. Their punter's good. I mean, you look up and down. Their punter's 46 yards a clip. He's had 6 punts of 50 yards or more. Maybe it could be the dome. They just played Northern Iowa, and they play in a dome at home. Here's a little trend, though. I noticed they've got 7 fumbles on the year, and they've lost 4 of them. So maybe that's something we're going to emphasize, punching the ball out. Maybe we can get a turnover for them. But in my opinion, this game comes down to which quarterback is better. Is Bo Brungard better than their guy? And I hate to put it that bluntly, but I think that's just the difference in the game. Which one plays better? And because I think, too, is which line, whose line's going to win the game. I mean, and that whether that's our defensive line bowing up, as Kyle mentioned, when and you said it too, South Dakota State came out in the third quarter and said, we're done. We're done messing around. We're going to run the ball. And they scored 21 straight points. So it's going to come down to the old cliches, which offensive and defensive line take over the game. And I'll tell you this much. I like our guy, number 12. So he keeps playing like he's playing. I think our guy's pretty damn good. So it's just going to be what it is. Kyle mentioned their schedule. Their 2 losses are to really good teams that in really close games. So, man, these are 2 teams that are a lot like one another. And we got to just figure it the hell out and go out there and win a game on the road. That's all it comes down to.
Now, this is in the, if I'm pronouncing it right, the Alaris Center. Just so y'all know, that holds 12,000 people at capacity. Their last 2 home games, they have had over 11,500 people, practically a sellout. So they've loaded that stadium out. Look for it to be rowdy. Look for it to be a crazy environment, especially on a year that they look really good. A couple of things. I just want to throw some numbers out there just to show how evenly matched we are with these, what I say they are, the Fighting Hawks. Fighting Hawk. Offense nationally in FCS, they have the number 23 best offense in the FCS. We have the number 25 best offense in FCS. Rushing offense, they're 22. We're number 13. Passing offense, they are 40. We're 55. Return yards, so just yards based off special team returns to start the drive, they're actually number 6 in the country, and your Penguins are number 7. Passing touchdowns, their quarterback, Jerry Kaminsky, he is number 3 in the country. And to counter that, Bo is number 4 in the country in rushing touchdowns. So both our quarterbacks can score a lot of touchdowns, whether it's by arm or by their legs. The one thing that kind of spot out that came out that is questionable, they have the number 15 defense in the country versus our number 49 defense in the country. And then lastly, one thing to really take out, and Dan, you mentioned about the line of scrimmage, they have a junior defensive end, Lance Rutger, who seems to be quite the ruckus. See what I did there? He has 7 tackles for loss and 4 sacks already. So he can be quite the trouble if we don't take care of him. Luckily, we have a quarterback that can escape many situations, but he is definitely going to cause Bo to move around very quickly. Very worried about that, especially against their number 15 defense. Guys, I don't want to be a downer, but I'm going to have to say it. And I know we're getting to the point where North Dakota, I had 2 lines. One line, North Dakota is favored by 9.5. And then there's a second line I saw they're favored by 11.5. I don't think we're going to win this one. I hate to be a downer. I think it's close. I think we went on by the points. You know, I would definitely take Penguins with the points, but I think North Dakota wins 31-27. What do you guys think?
You said 31-27?
Yeah, North Dakota.
I guess what the question I want to ask is North Dakota better than South Dakota State? Realistically.
That's a good question.
And I think that we'll ultimately find out this week. We don't know, because if you just look at the record, they're sitting at 3-2 with a close loss to Kansas State and Montana. Their wins are Portland State, Valparaiso, Northern Iowa. Who is that? Is that a good resume right there? They came into the Ice Castle ranked number 5 last year, stomping everybody, and then they lose out the rest of the year. Now, what they did last year was they won at home. So I think it is going to be tough. I think that I'm not going to be a homer, okay? I'm going to be realistic. I'm going to visualize a win. Is there a way that the Penguins get this done? Yes. So I will visualize the Penguins getting it done with a score of 34-31. With Lastovka kicking it late.
Yeah, I think I'm ups out. You brought up some great facts there about how similar these two teams really are. I had us winning this game earlier in the year because I thought there was probably a good chance we'd be 3-2 at this point. And I wasn't sure if we'd be 3-2 like the way we are 3-2. And we're a good 3-2 football team, as they are. I watched them a little bit, went on to ESPN Plus late Saturday and was able to watch some of the Northern Iowa game, and they controlled the game. And we're gonna win this game because I believe our quarterback is so far the best quarterback that every game we've played, he's the best player on the field, including Michigan State and including last Saturday against South Dakota State. And I say that with not like, like Kyle, I'm not a homer. Yeah. No, Bo Brungard has been the best player on the field through 5 weeks. And I'm not sure where you debate it. And why I say that is, if you're Michigan State, would you take Bo Brungard as your quarterback? I'm going to say yes. If you're South Dakota State, will you take Bo Brungard? How good would South Dakota?
Quarterback sucked.
Yeah, I mean, he's a big old dude, and he's gonna probably grow into that role too. But our guy was better than theirs, and I'm gonna bank. I'm going with Bo Brungard, and I'm going with the other things we have on this team. We're gonna be fast on the turf in a dome, and you know, I'm picking us to win outright. This line that you said, man, I'd take those points all day long. But we're going to win this game on the road. I'm not good enough to predict the score, but we're going to win it. It's going to be close and it's going to be hard. But we found a way to win at Towson, so I think we've kind of got over this hump of we can't win on the road kind of thing. And
Yeah,
man, I just got to believe. Yeah, I mean, we just got to. Yeah, got to find a way.
Big difference. I think that's the big difference of the fact that it is on the road. North Dakota, even though they didn't play anyone at home yet, their total score at home is 108-27 so far at home. I think it's a big advantage for them. And like to your point, Dan, it's not. I don't think it's that big of a disadvantage for us, but I think it is the edge for them.
Yeah, I mean, but I will say this much, and one of you guys pointed to it earlier. We're going to have to find a way. This receiver, there's Fleming, I think is the last name. Mm-hmm. What do you think they're going to do with him? They're going to put him out. They're going to try and isolate him on our guy number 7, Wimpy. And I mean, they watch film. They're going to be well coached. They're going to know what to do. It won't be easy, but when the heck has a conference game ever been easy to win on the road? So
one thing, I just not to ramble on about this game, but one thing that we were not successful in doing last week is in the fourth quarter, when the other team has the lead and we need the ball back, we cannot allow them to milk the clock and run and run and run. We have to get the ball back. I'm not saying that's the situation. It's a little too early to predict that, but if we're in that situation, the defense really needs to come back big and get the offense back on the field. But y'all ready for predictions? Well, do we have predictions of the YouTube chat?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Wolf has them going Youngstown winning 42-38. Chase has Youngstown winning 34-31. And I have the same score, so I got to change my score. Quigley has Youngstown winning 38-28. Mets has North Dakota winning 31-24.
Was that my score? No, 34. I had 31-27. All right.
And then Crum has them Youngstown winning 38-35. And let me get 37-31. I'll change my
37-31. What was the last score prediction you had in there?
Crum has Youngstown winning 38-35.
Okay, make sure I record this stuff. All right. We'll see how that goes. I did. I'll save it for next week. I did have a fun fact for our listeners, trivia question about the host, but I'd rather wait till Kurt is on. It'll be more fun. Anyway, let's dive into Saturday, October 11th to see what the rest of the conference has going on as South Dakota is at Indiana State. 1 p.m. as the first conference game of the weekend. Man, I'm starting to wonder if I wrote this down wrong. Indiana State, a 19.5-point favorite. Interesting. I don't think they will cover those points. I do think Indiana State will win the game, but I'll take South Dakota on the points.
Did you write that right? There's no way you wrote that right.
Let me double check it.
Yeah, you gotta double check that. Did South Dakota's running back get hurt or something? I know they had some injury, but not enough to swing it almost 3 scores for Indiana State.
Let me check.
Yeah, I wasn't sure when I saw that line. I thought it was I thought it was
It's
South.
backwards. It's backwards.
Yeah,
It's backwards.
I thought it was
Yeah.
South Dakota given 19
right.
and a half.
I'll take South Dakota State or South
Scratch
Dakota to
that.
cover
South
that.
Dakota is favored 19 and a half.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
I'll take them to
State.
cover.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take South Dakota, but they're coming off a beatdown. They got to travel, play there, early kick. Give me South Dakota winning, but not covering.
Northern Iowa is at number 2, South Dakota State, who's coming off a big win. 3 p.m. South Dakota State is a 30.5 favorite. After seeing what the unis did last week, I'm taking South Dakota State to win and cover that.
Panthers haven't lost by 30 points all year, so I will take Northern Iowa to cover.
Give me South Dakota State to cover that.
Southern Illinois is at North Dakota State, number 1 North Dakota State, the Fargo Dome, 3 p.m. North Dakota State is a minus 18.5 favorite. I am having them win and cover.
Yeah, I will have.
The Slukies are number 9 now. It's tough.
I'll have the Salukis cover the 18.5.
Give me the Bison rolling. Bison will win by three touchdowns, maybe 24
Wow,
points.
it's gonna be fun.
Alternate
Dan,
line. That's a sledge move right there.
Yep.
So far, Dan, you and I have all the home teams winning on the points, and Cyril has all the road teams on the points. Let's see what happens here. It's Youngstown State at North Dakota that we talked to in detail at 4 p.m. North Dakota is a 9.5-point favorite. We all took the Penguins on the points. 2 of y'all taking the money line on the Penguins. So everyone all in on the Penguins. Illinois State at Murray State, 7 p.m. for the nightcap game. Illinois State, number 10 Illinois State. It's a 15.5 favorite. I'm going to have the Redbirds, of course, as I always do. I don't care if they're playing Ohio State. They're going to win and cover.
Win and cover. Illinois State.
Yeah, it's a night game. I was thinking maybe a little night game, but give me those Redbirds win and cover.
Different on the Redbirds. All right. FBS game. Do y'all have an FBS game?
Yeah. I will be at the Bowling Green versus Toledo Rockets rivalry game, and I had the spread up here. Toledo is favored by 10.5, I believe. So I will take Bowling Green with the points.
So I don't have one ready. So shoot yours, and I'll get one.
Hey, one to look at is early on the Red River Shootout is this weekend, and early OU is at Texas, and Texas was favored by 1.5. I just checked the line, and it has switched to OU is favored by 1.5. So that's another good game to watch.
I'm going to take one out of Dan's book. Friday night, 7:30. The South Florida Bulls, my local team here in Tampa, is at North Texas. North Texas is really good, but North Texas is favored by 1.5 points. I'm taking USF. I don't want to say money line, but
that is basically money line.
Right. I guess I'm taking the Bulls to win that game at North Texas Friday night.
Bold move. I was going to pick North Texas just to piss you guys off, but
I'm looking down at Florida at Texas A&M Saturday night.
Ooh,
is Texas A&M College Station too? Is that what they call?
Yeah.
There's like 9 college stations, but give me Texas A&M to win and cover. I believe it's 7.5. I see. I think Coach Mike Elko will have a defense. The 12th man will give DJ Lagway some fits, unlike Texas was able to, Texas was able to do. So give me the the Fighting Elkos.
Did you say Cyril Bowling Green was favored 10.5?
No, Toledo's favored 10.5. So Bowling Green is getting 10.5 points. I'll take Bowling Green to
Cover.
get in those with the points.
Very interesting. All right.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. I don't watch Mac like Kurt. You know, Kurt's very dedicated to the Mac, and he wants to play on the Tuesday, Wednesday night schedule. But I'll be there Saturday, so I just figured it'd be a fun game to pick.
Speaking of, just to share with y'all, as we're talking, Missouri State just scored a touchdown. They're about to be up 20-10 over Middle Tennessee State over on ESPN2. But just sharing with you guys, Austin
Missouri State tracker. Huh?
Austin P beat Middle Tennessee State this year 34-14. So until Missouri State beats them 34-14 tonight, I'm not impressed, but they are on ESPN. But anyway, before we wrap up, a couple things. Cyril, I don't know. There's a lot going on in the chat. I don't know. It's hard for me to host in chat. I've almost punted on it, but anything worth noting on the chat, worth mentioning? I mean, I just feel like every week, every season, it gets more active and has more people in it.
Yeah, I know.
I love that.
It's awesome. And I think really what it is they're just chatting with each other. Really. They're like, you know, I think that they just are conversing about whatever. I guess there's Bowling Green has a cat named Pudge. That was new to me, you know, so there's just a lot of good back and forth. I was a little distracted tonight, so the chat was in my not in my primary view, but hey, I just love to see the chat going. So
Dan, shout outs, anyone worth mentioning, high school, any Penguins you see around town?
Well, actually, Sal, I had someone ask me this week about the show and asked how this all gets done. So the shout out is to you this week, Sal, because I had to tell them, hey, our guy Sal in Tampa, he sends the script, the thoughts, the predictions, all this stuff. Now, as Kyle mentioned, you have fun facts about the opposing school, and he said he loves that part. He said, I don't know anything about South Dakota State. I don't even know where Brookings is. And I said, well, you should make a trip out there one day. So
it's gorgeous.
Yep, I told him about Sioux Falls and all that. But Sal, we got to give you some love. How many years we've been doing this show, and you do all the work, man. 3 years, you're setting it up. You're sending the link, doing all this work. So obviously, as a former Penguin coach and Penguin alum, we're going to give a little shout out to you down there in Tampa. You're not even wearing sleeves tonight, so you're showing that you're obviously in Tampa. I mean, Kyle, and up here, it's already, went from 80 to 40. So we're fighting up here in Youngstown.
Really?
Nah, like
is 60. It 40?
No,
I 60, don't know. I just wear a hoodie all the time. I coached in this hoodie all football season. So,
well, there you go.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate that. And just so you guys know, listening at home, I put together a bullet point. I don't tell them what they say. So all Cyril's thoughts come straight from Cyril. So that I have no say in what Cyril comes out of Sledge's mouth. But on that topic and on coaching, how is the middle school team looking, Cyril?
Hey, first of all, I don't even know what's going to come out of my mouth most of the time. Hey, I wrapped up my first year coaching. Last night was our last game. We finished 5-3.
Okay.
All right.
I will say it is the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my life. And, it's just been a blast to see these kids progress as little noob football players and just, get a little bit better. I'm not saying, they got a long way to go, but, it's just fun. I want to shout out, one of my players last night dislocated his elbow, and I'm not going to name names, but oh man, did he just take it like a champ? He's laying on the field, clearly in pain. His dad walks over, takes his helmet off. He's not crying. He's just like, oh man, it hurts so freaking bad. And it's literally just hanging there, so just shout out to him and all those kids. I had about 37 athletes, and yeah, it was a blast, and I can't wait to do it next year.
Love it.
Awesome. I love
Just
that.
quick story, just because you just remind me of rewarding and coaching. My first year coaching after Youngstown State down at a high school here locally called Bayshore in Tampa. Walking the halls, I just saw a guy. Didn't know who this guy was. I just asked if he wanted to come out and play for the team. He's a pretty big dude. This guy, I had no idea he's from Egypt, and I don't follow politics in Egypt, but his father was apparently high up in the political scale. He was a refugee that had to escape some hostile takeover that was happening. So he comes over to Tampa, and he's apparently really depressed. Had no idea what was going on in this guy's life. Obviously, the teacher said, "Yeah, this guy he'll like walk on the street, not like homeless. I mean, he'll walk on the street just not knowing how the streets work in this country, that you don't just walk on the street." He was just completely depressed. I had him come out for defensive line. He didn't know anything about football. I taught him the simple rules of the game. This guy ended up playing the best player on defense, loved the game, huge football guy, started going to Bucks games. Just you don't know what type of impact you have on these kids' lives as a coach is what I'm getting at. And I still, he's probably my favorite player I've ever coached. And I had no idea what was happening in that guy's life, but God bless him. So love to hear
Yeah.
that, Cyril.
Hey, and like I'll tell this a little bit about my football background. I started playing in 7th grade. I was fat. I was out of shape. I hated everything to do with football. I hated anything to do with running and conditioning. And I moved schools in the middle of in football. I moved to a new 8th grade. Nobody knows me. Nobody knows I played football. Cool. I'm done. I don't want to play football. I have no interest in it. Similar to what you said, Sal, the 8th grade football coach stopped me and he said, "Hey, why don't you come check out the football team?" I said, "Hey, I don't want anything to do with it. I didn't have a good experience." And fast forward, obviously I went and played in 8th grade, or I was on the team in 8th grade. I didn't play in 8th grade. And fast forward, you just stick with it, you get better, you develop, and then you pay for your college with it one day if you're lucky enough. And that's the type of thing, like I'm very careful about how I coach these kids and what I say to them, because I don't want them to leave with a negative. It's not for a 7th grader to leave with a negative taste in their mouth of football. It's like, hey, it's just like, what can you do to contribute to this team now? And maybe next year is your opportunity to change positions or whatever you think that you want to do. But right now, the best way to help this team, and that goes in life. Like, how do you be a team player? How do you fit into your role? How do you maximize your talents on where they're at currently to help the greater good of the team? And so it's been a blast, and I can't wait. Like I said, today we turned in our jerseys, and I am not going to see those kids until they're on the other side of the locker room, and I have a new group of 7th graders next fall, and it's going to be weird.
That I thought that was a promo for the Godfather, Jim Tressel's podcast, all about the team, because it's basically what it's about, right? That's what his podcast is about.
Well, think about this. I'm looking at 2 guys on the screen right now that I met in 2008 and 2009. Sal, I met you first and was blown away that you came up from Tampa and wanted to coach and dealt with, you could write a book one day, as you could write it after my book, that is, but of all the things you saw and did, learned, and now you're running your family's company business, very successful, and all the things you learned. Speaking of, you were on the Godfather's podcast. And Kyle, I remember him coming on his visit and then growing to be a difference maker as defensive end. He still gets mad that someone else wears number 33. I know that, but it's, but I watched you as just an 18-year-old kid come up and kind of like, hey, and I remember Coach Haycock and Coach Wright saying, this guy's going to be okay. And obviously Coach Wolf, I mean, you're the original sledgehammer. So, I mean, it's cool to hear you say that. I'm the son of a coach, so I grew up around coaches, and it's a gift to do it, and your job is to make sure that those 7th graders go play as 8th graders. as many of them as possible, because they'll end up being the high school guys playing on Friday nights. And I still think Sal should be coaching, but he's got a family business to run. But, when I win the Mega Millions one of these days, and then we go find some high school we could all coach at.
Yes. Well, wait till SG3 is in Pee Wee.
Right.
He'll start coaching.
There you go.
You're right, Cheryl. Well, as soon as my son's old enough to play, I'll coach again. But that was a good segue, Cop, into my big announcement for the listeners, and I think even to you guys. We have booked the one man that, including Kurt, the one man that has brought the four of us together. Do you guys know who that is?
I sure do.
Does his initials start with JH?
Yes, they do.
Mm-hmm.
I know who it is.
It is Iowa State defensive coordinator John Haycock, former Youngstown State Penguin, former Youngstown State defensive coordinator, is going to be coming on the show during his bye week, as he has another bye week coming up in a couple weeks. So definitely follow our Instagram page, Whitetown Penguin Podcast, to know when Haycock's coming on. We will have some Q&A. If you have any questions for Coach Haycock, start thinking of them now. Definitely get on the YouTube live to be able to partake and ask him questions. But I'm going to shut it down, guys. You guys ready?
Yep.
Let's shut it down. Again, your number 20 Youngstown State Penguins are at number 12 North Dakota Fighting Hawk on Saturday, October 11th, 4 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Plus. Good luck to the Penguins. And this has been the Youngstown Penguin Football Podcast. As always, we are on Whitetown Penguin Podcast. We'll be on next Wednesday, 8 p.m. on the YouTube chat. But as always, I'm your host, Saguardo. That's Kyle Stroh. That's Dan Kopp. And we will have Kurt Hess on next time. Until then, as always, go Penguins.